Hi guys and welcome. Today we want to show you how we made these insulated foam board window covers that are also light proofing. So these covers are made with 1/2-inch foam board, and they're also made with reflective window covers, car window covers, and then the foam is wrapped in a black fabric for stealthy camping. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be setting up our Prius to go camping. And if you'd like to see any more videos on that, just remember to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out.
Alright, just to clear up exactly how this is built, it starts off with a black piece of fabric, and then we'll take a piece of foam, we're going to flip it over silver side down, then we're going to take the insulated window panel and put it on top of it, and then we're going to glue all that together, making a nice thick piece of insulation. And it's going to extend out a little bit all the way around. That way it makes it easy to stick into the window and make it stay in the window, but it also light proofs easy, so you don't have to be so precise in your cut. So we're going to make a nice lip all the way around. We're going to go over the things you will need to do this project. The window cover we got from Walmart. It was the cheapest one they had. You can go with a more expensive kind of bubble foam stuff, but we went with a budget option. It was like $4. And then we went to Lowe's to get the 4x8 sheet of insulated foam board with the silver backing. Didn't have a good picture of that on their website, but here's the last of the piece we had. And you'll need tracing paper. You can get this from a craft store. You're going to probably tape several pieces together. And you'll need masking tape, a permanent marker and a pencil, a box cutter. If you get the one with a longer blade, it's a lot easier to saw through the styrofoam instead of one little short one. Super glue, not super glue, hot glue. We like the Gorilla Glue versions, a little stronger, and the hot glue gun you're going to need. The weird one is the tacky glue to put down the fabric to the foam board, and you're going to need a brush to brush it out with. Obviously you'll need scissors, and the fabric is kind of up to you guys. We went with what was on sale, but if you want, the best thing you could go with is something that's waterproof in case you're worried about getting moisture from the windows onto the fabric and make them wet. But if you want to go with budget and go with whatever they have that's black that's on sale, that'd be fine too.
This is just about the right time to do this. What you're going to do is, I've already got my paper taped to the vehicle, and I've cut a little slit here for the windshield wiper, so that the paper fits flat. And if you look really closely on the left side there, you can see the outline of the interior window. And my husband is going to come out here and help me out. He's going to get in the vehicle with a flashlight, shine the light outward, and I'm going to trace that outline. It should look like this, and now it's time to cut it out. Okay, so when you want to do the opposite side, you've already got your template, because once you've cut this out, all you're going to do is tape this to your foam board, cut out the first piece, and then turn it over. And it's the exact same on the opposite side. So tape it backwards onto your foam, cut it out. Okay, so now that I've got my template traced out, and I've removed the template, it's time to cut it out. And a really big tip that everyone needs to know is, after you've traced your template, your permanent marker should be a really nice guideline, but when you go to trace it with your razor blade, you need to stay to the inside of the permanent marker line. In other words, don't cut directly in the middle of it. Stay on the left side, because it'll be too big. You want it to be the same size. Alright, so we just took our foam board after it was cut out to the car to see if it fit. And I knew that it was going to be a little snug, because when I traced it right on the line. And when you do that, it gives you a little bit of room to take off of the sides and get a really nice snug fit. So when we took it out and we tested it, when you put it in the window, it has a slight bow, which is fine. It just means you have excess room that you can cut off and shave. You'll get a very snug fit. So what I did was I came back in, and now I am taking off just a little bit. I'm tracing the same shape along the side, and I'm only taking off a little at a time. And I'll do this until the foam fits firmly in the window. Alright, so I've got my template cut out of the foam. It took a little work. I just cut down the edge just a little bit at a time like we talked about. And now I have the perfect shape. I'm going to put the white side down so that the reflective side is out. And I'm going to glue this reflective window cover. A lot of people are using what's called Reflectix, but we decided to go with this easy route. It's just a reflective window cover from Walmart. You can get them for like $3. Yeah, not a big deal. Nice and cheap. So I'm going to put my reflectives up, and this is exactly the way that you're gonna, or that I'm going to glue it to it, because I want the reflectives on either side, and that way once I put the black fabric on this, I can stick it in the car window either direction with this side facing out or the reflective sides facing outward. But for now I'm just going to trace around, and when I trace around I'm going to give about 1/2 inch space away from the edge, and I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like when we get lined up here. Alright, so I'm going to come out here and just lightly trace out about that far.
And the reason we're going out a little bit is for light proofing. This will make a little lip that will cover up any gaps you have. That's why you'll have to cut the foam perfectly.
And for those of you who want an easier route, if you don't want to do it this way, you can just simply trace around the actual piece, as long as when you decide to cut it out, you definitely make sure you go out that extra 1/2 inch, because you need that space to be able to fit snugly into the window. So before we get that going though, we need to cover our foam piece in fabric, and we decided to go with this black fabric that is spandex and cotton. And it covers really well. You can't see through it. You won't see the silver. And we are doing it with the silver up, so that you're covering the silver piece, because it helps to reflect the sunlight, the heat. So that's what we're going to be doing next. I'm going to be gluing it down with, this is just a little container, but this is clear tacky glue. It dries clear. Dries really, really quick with a hairdryer. Oh, that's funny, but it dries really, really quick with a little bit of heat. And we're going to be applying it with just some paintbrushes, and let's get to it. So if you're applying this, or when you're applying this, excuse me, you don't want a really thick coat. You just want enough on there to stick that fabric down a little bit. Does not take a lot with tacky glue. Alright, I've got my thin layer of tacky glue put down on the silver side of my foam, and it's not going to dry really fast because it's tacky glue, not without the heat anyway. So while that's sitting there, I'm going to take out some ribbon. If you don't have ribbon, you can use string, but it's better to use something flat so that it doesn't over time rip through your foam. So I chose to go with some ribbon. I'm going to get it long enough that it overhangs the project. If you want it shorter afterward, make it shorter later. So I'm only going to use one ribbon, I think.
Yeah, I used to.
You know what? I'm going to use 2. Just for extra support. On all the other window covers that I've done, I've only used the one ribbon because they weren't as long as this one. This is the back window, so it's quite long. So just for some extra support, when I go to pull, I'll do 2. Right somewhere right in there. Again, really long, you can cut it off short later. Alright. Alright, and then we're going to flip it over onto our black fabric. Let me fold that back out. You don't have to have a whole lot of room. We're going to be cutting off the fabric really close to the edges. So I'm just going to put that down and then rub. Alright, rub that all the way out to the sides. So we just pressed out our foam onto our material, so the glue should stick pretty well, and then we're going to turn it over just like that. And just to make sure there are no wrinkles or anything, you take from the center and just kind of rub the glue rub the material so that the glue kind of adheres all over and you don't have all those wrinkles. All right, and you have two choices with this. You can either let this sit overnight because it will take a considerable amount of time to dry, or if you want to do this really quick, you can use a hairdryer, which is what we usually do, or what I usually do. It's pretty quick. It usually takes about 10, maybe not even 10 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. Meh. But you just keep it going. All right, we've got it all dried up. It is ready to do the sides. So we're gonna flip this thing back over, get our material flattened back out. And because my ribbon is still that sticky ribbon, I'm gonna tack it to the project, because when I do the material on the sides, I don't want to glue my ribbon on the wrong side or up underneath anything. So this kind of helps them stay where they need to stay. All right, I'm going to use the same glue, the tacky glue, and just go around all of the edges and pull. Because this is spandex, the really cool thing about this is that on these corners here, you don't have as much of a wrinkle. I'm not saying there won't be a wrinkle. Sometimes you can't help it, but the spandex really helps with that, so you don't end up with those bulged edges or really bad creases. So I got my little paintbrush here. I have a little bit too much excess fabric on this side, so I'm just gonna cut that off really quick. All right, got my paintbrush. Oh my goodness. You can really tell I've used a lot of this tacky glue. This is one of my favorite glues. Love this stuff. Try to get it on there. Just a nice little thin layer. Okay, that's one whole side. All right, and then I'm gonna take this, pull it up just like that, and just rub. So it sticks pretty well. This just helps the glue come through the fabric a little bit, and it helps it to stick. All right, and once I've got one side done at a time, I'm going to take the hair dryer and run it across the edge and let it dry. And then I'm gonna go and do another side once it's dry. Oh, hi Kit Kat, say hey to everybody. Kit Kat loves projects. She gets into everything. All right, so we've got our edge pulled up, and to help it dry, I'm gonna run the hair dryer down the edge, and I'll come back to you when I'm done. Nice little layer of glue. And you wanna come down here to where it starts to be flat again. You'll do that on every curve, it doesn't matter. And then when you take your material, pull straight up. And because it's spandex, if you pull straight up, and then you pull your sides, come on this side, it takes all of the wrinkle out. All you have to do is pull straight up in the middle and then pull the sides. Now rub, and that's all straight. You just hold this, and while this is drying, I'm not saying hold this overnight. When you do your corners, you're gonna wanna use a hairdryer. So I'm gonna turn my hairdryer onto it and hold it. Don't burn your fingers when you do this. Try to point the hairdryer away from your hand. All right, quick tip. If you've got a difficult spot and you have to cut the material short, and possibly you're by yourself, you can use tacks to hold down the small piece of material while you hair dry it. That way you don't burn your fingers. The next step is we're going to take the edge of the material up just a bit, and I'm going to run a bead of hot glue around very closely to the edge here, just to give it a little extra hold. And then once that's all dried and ready, we can cut. We're not going to cut away all the material. We're going to leave a little bit of a lip. I'm not going to cut this one any shorter, so that's probably a great example there. This is dry, and I can take the tacks out now, but that's about how much material I'm going to leave. That'll have the hot glue, bead of hot glue running around the edge. Alright, so I'm going to start right here, and you don't want to put your bead of glue on where this ribbon is, because you want this ribbon to be able to pull. So I'm going to glue next to it, and we're going to cut a slit right here. Okay, so, and you want to work kind of quickly because, and in small pieces, because the glue dries pretty quick, and you want it to glue flat. You don't want it to glue bumpy. So just kind of press a little bit, let it do its thing, and then move on to the next spot. And we're gonna do that all the way around, a little at a time. Take your time. Time to cut. I'm just gonna start here and I'm gonna cut all the way down to where it's glued and go all the way around. Part is we're going to be putting the reflective window cover on the opposite side. We're gonna put it white side facing up, silver down, and we're gonna do this with hot glue. And how we're gonna do this is I need to be able to see the traced out line. So I'm gonna get this, that's the way it goes, turn that over. And I'm gonna use the hot glue gun and put a good bit right here on this side. I'll just do it. I'm just gonna, we don't need that much. We just need enough to get it started, and then we're gonna turn it over, okay? I hear you, Kit Kat. Kit Kat doesn't like the storms. Okay. Get that lined up. And then press it down right there on the line. Give that just a second. All right, and now it's time to turn it over. That should give me just enough to, yeah, it's just barely stuck there, which is perfect. All right, and this is how I did this with all the other ones. You just kind of roll it up. And we're gonna do hot glue all the way down this, a little at a time. You do not have to do this fast. And you're going, what I'm gonna do is this traced out line here, I'm going to line it up as I go down the board, a little at a time. You're gonna press so that the hot glue spreads a little bit. Alright, got that layer down. And okay, so we're right at our ribbon now, and you do not want to glue your ribbon under your foam. I have done that once or twice, I'm not proud to say. But pull your ribbon back, and because mine are sticky, I'm just gonna stick them to the table. And I'm going to run my glue here and press so that they're not underneath. And do the same thing with your other ribbons. Don't forget. Okay, this is the end of the project, guys. This is nearly fully done. I'm gonna trim just a little bit around the edge just to even it out. So I did follow my line to get this glued onto the backer. But sometimes when you do this, your material will stretch a little bit because it was folded. All right, so even though we're still on the line and in the tracing, it's just fine that it went off. It pushed the material forward just that much. I'm just gonna trim it up so it's 1/2 inch on this side, and we'll be completely done, and we're gonna try it out in the window. I'm super excited. And it's time to try it out. It's gonna be fun. Okay, so it's got a little dip. I'm gonna press that inward, and then do one side first and slide it over, and then press, and there it is, it's popped in. Look at that, it's got the ribbon pulls and everything.
And you can see exactly what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
This overlaps a little bit, so it's perfectly light proofing. All the way around. You don't have to be a perfectionist about cutting the foam and everything.
And even if the foam is a little bit smaller than your window space, this backer foam is going to insulate it even further too.
All right, and we haven't done the front window yet, but here's what the inside looks like.
So overall, it's looking really good.
You want to show them pulling it out?
Oh yeah. All right, let's try to pull it out. So this has a lip, so I'm gonna pull from this side, okay? So just pull that down, run my fingers around the edge, and pop it out. It's a really good fit. All right, guys, we're all finished. It turned out great. I really hope you guys liked everything. And if you did, don't forget, like and subscribe. We'll have more videos on how to set up your Prius for camping here very soon.